Alright, chemistry. Hopefully you're here because you already watched the video over in the lab section about this lab. If you haven't watched that video yet, go watch it because you'll need it to fill in the numbers. There we go. Fill in the numbers down here. All right. Excuse me. So I went through the procedure. I attached the iron ring, put the wire mesh, filled the beaker, did the temperatures. So I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 temperatures, right, for this data. Excuse me. And we are going to, right, do these questions. So we have to make a graph. It says construct a graph of time versus temperature, and I'm already going to make a change. All right. So please follow along, making these changes as we go. The first change that I'm going yeah, that's fine. The first change that I'm going to make is I'm going to flip these words. I want you to flip these words. I want it to be a temperature versus time graph. And the reason I want it to be temperature versus time is when you see, excuse me, when you see a graph that's titled like that, something versus something, at least in my experience, it's always y versus x. So I want temperature to be on the y-axis, and I want time to be on the x-axis, right? So when I am graphing this, I want my graph to have time in minutes on the x-axis, and I want my y-axis to be temperature in degrees Celsius, right? And now your scale can be different for both sides. So your time scale is going to be 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Right? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Now I probably could have spaced that out better, but again, when you're making a graph, you try to use as much of the graph as possible. So you know what? I will actually use more of that. So let me just redraw my axis here. Let's use a bunch of it. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. We'll go all the way out to 5. So there's 5. Now the temperatures, you might have to make your own scale here, and it's allowed to be different. You don't have to go by ones on the way up. So maybe I want to go by 20. So like 20, 40, 60, 80, 100, or maybe whatever temperature scale. But this is still temperature in degrees Celsius, right? And you're gonna do your temperature. So connect the dots for each trial using different colors for each line or different shapes around your points. So I might use a circle, right, for the first set of points. That might, I don't know, look something like that. And I might use a triangle for the other set of points. That might look something like this. Hello? There we go. We'll have 6 points, right? And it does say to connect the dots, so you can more or less connect each one with a straight line. That will change later, but for now, it'll work. I mean, it's not a perfect show, but I have 2 sets of data. I'm going to have 2 lines, and it occurs to me that there we go. Now you can actually see everything that I just did. Excuse me. Right. So I have a graph that has both information for 8 inches above the burner, right? So if I wanted to make a scale here, circle for 8 inches and triangle for 1 inch, right? Now question number 2 asks to do something based on the graph. So based on this, what could I conclude about the relationship between the height from the burner and the change in temperature, right? So what I can conclude here is that the higher it is from the burner, the less the temperature changes. Right? So as one thing goes up, as that the height from the burner increases, the change in temperature, how much the temperature went up, decreases. Right? That it's either indirect or inverse, but as one goes up, the other goes down. Right? So it could be indirect, it could be inverse. We're not entirely certain. There is a very distinct difference between the two. As we do more graphs, I will be very clear as to whether it is indirect or inverse. Generally, indirect is still a straight line, inverse is going to be some kind of a curve, right? That's question number 2. And then question number 3, based on knowing this, right, how do you want to set up your labs? If you want something to heat up quickly, if you don't want to be waiting there forever and ever and ever, let's say you need to actually get water to 100 degrees Celsius. You don't want to put your Bunsen burner way down here and the ring way up here. You want them to be close to each other. That will make things go faster. That will make things be much easier, right? And again, a lot of this lab was just to get you used to like seeing it, looking at it, knowing like this is how I need to set it up. But yeah, it's again very quick, very straightforward. As far as graphing goes, right? This relationship down here looks more or less linear. This one kind of curves off. It almost like curves off the top like that. So it's not linear. It's actually almost like an x squared, like a parabola, right? Or it's an upside down parabola, but it's more of a curve fit instead. And we'll talk more about those graphs, the more graphs that we do. This is like the first kind of big graph that we've done. We'll do more as we do more labs in the second semester. I want to get excuse me, I want to get more of these labs in. I think that I can do them, I can accomplish them safely, definitely. I wasn't sure how long it would take to kind of clean everything, but I found a process that works, even with the short turnover in between classes and having to clean off desks. So we can totally make it work. We're going to do some more labs. You guys are going to do some more labs. And again, knowing how to use a Bunsen burner, knowing how to set it up, how to turn it on, because everyone's going to be doing their own labs. We're not going to have any lab groups this year. So each of you will be doing your own lab. Each of you will have to kind of be able to use this Bunsen burner. That's it. It was just a little quick thing. There is going to be some review to do on C-Day or D-Day, right? Depending on... I flipped the order of the sections, so Group 2, you are now ahead. Group 1, you are now behind, right? In quotation marks. The big deal is have the orange book, because the orange book is going to have those questions that we're about to do. Make sure that you are ready, right, on Friday. The test is online, so if you're in person on Friday, you can take it when you get home, as long as you take it before midnight. It'll take you a half an hour. It's timed, so it's only half an hour. If you are remote, make sure you take it before midnight. But it's only half an hour. Use your reference table and do your best on it, right? It's half the length of your midterm. It's half the questions that are going to be on your midterm. So give that a shot, and that'll get graded over the weekend because it's in my CBA. So everything is just 1 point. I click it and I call it a day. Let me know if you have any questions. Otherwise, I will see you in the next video, or I'll see you in class. Take care, kids.